Today we're going to be talking about the greatest common factor. Okay, so to do that, we have to use some vocabulary. A common factor is basically a factor that's shared by two or more numbers. Would be a common factor. Then the greatest of the common factors of two or more numbers is the greatest common factor, or the GCF, of the numbers. Okay, and a factor is just two numbers that you are going to multiply together to get a certain number. Okay, so if we're going to find the greatest common factor, there's a couple ways we can do this. The first way is we're going to use factor trees or prime factorization to find our answers. Okay, so we have the prime factors of 40 is going to be what times 4 is going to give you 40? 10. Okay, so we have 4 broken down into 2 times 2, which these are both prime numbers. We're going to circle both of them. Okay, so we'll do that, and then we're going to move on to the 10. What times what gives you 10? Well, it's 2, which is a prime number, and 5, which is a prime number. So we know that our prime factorization of 40 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 5. Okay, so that's our first one. Now we'll move on to the 24. What times 4 gives us 24? Well, that's 6. They went ahead and they already broken down the 6 into 2 times 3. So you wouldn't have that luxury, but they did it for you already. So 2 times 3, and then we have to break the 4 down, which we did on the other side, to 2 times 2. All right, so we have a 2 times a 2 there, and we circle both of those because they're both prime. So our prime factorization of 24 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3. We go on to 32, and we 4 times 8 gives us 32. They've already broken down the 4, so we're just going to go ahead and go down and circle them. I wouldn't bring them all the way down. I just circle them. That way I know that they're already prime. And we take 2 times 4. Okay, so we're going to bring that 2 down, or they did, to the bottom row here. So we'll go ahead and do that. Like, once again, I would just circle it so that I know that it's done. They did it this way. We break the 4 into 2 times 2. Okay, so our prime factorization of 32 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, so 5 2's. Okay, now if we go through, we see that we have 3 2's in this one. We have 3 2's in this one. We have 5 2's in this one, but it has to be common, so it has to be the same in each one. So we know we have 3 2's all together there. We have a 5 in this one, no 5's here, and no 5's here, so 5 isn't common. We look here, we have a 3 in this one, but no 3 in this one, and no 3 in this one, so 3 is not common. So the only thing they each have in common is they have 3 2's in common. Okay, so we have 2, 2, and 2 as our common factors. Okay, now we're going to multiply those common factors, and we take 2 times 2 times 2. Okay, 2 times 2 is 4, times 2 is 8. So our greatest common factor is 8. Okay, so 8 is our greatest common factor. Okay, all right, now the second way we can do this, the second way they do it is you can list the factors in just a list. Okay, so we're finding the GCF between 60 and 54. We just go through and, okay, I know that 1 times 60 gives me 60. I know that 2 times 30 gives me 60. 3 times 20 gives me 60. 4 times 15 gives me 60. 5 times 12 is 60. And then 6 times 10 is 60. So those are all the factors of 60. I know that 1 times 54 is 54. 2 times 27 is 54. 3 times 18 is 54, and 6 times 9. So if we look at this, the common factors we have here are, we have 1, which we're not going to use 1 because it's common in every factor, but we'll put it. Normally we're not going to use it because it's a common one in all of them. Okay, but we'll have 1. We have 2's in common. and we have 3's in common, and then we have 6 in common. Okay, so our greatest common factor is 6. Okay, so that's the other way to do it. You just list out all the factors. It takes a little longer, especially if it's a bigger number, it's a little harder. Smaller numbers, it's easier. So if we do this like this one here, we do the factors of 8. So pause it and do the factors of 8. Okay, so 1 times 8. And we're going to do 2 times 4, yes. Okay, and then there's no 3's, so we know we're done. 1, 2, 4, and 8. Now the factors of 32 are 1 and 32. Okay, it's even, so we know we can take it times 2, or divided by 2. So 2 times, I'll tell you, if you don't know, it's 16. This is hard to do. 16, okay. All right, 3 doesn't. 4 does. 4 times 8. No 5. Here we have 4 times 8. No 5, no 6, no 7. So we are done. So our common factors are 1, 2, 4, and 8. So your greatest common factor is going to be 8. All right, pause it and do number 2. All right, so now we have our, if you can check what you have, we have 1 and 3 for 3. We have 1 times 12, 2 times 6, and 3 times 4. We have 1 times 18, 2 times 9, and 3 times 6. So what they have in common is 1 and 3. So your greatest common factor is 3. Okay? All right, let's go to the next page over here. Okay, we're going to go to skip ahead to number 20, or this page here, which is page 561. And I want you to do number 1. I want you to do it both ways, with factor trees and without. So go ahead and pause it and do that. All right, so you have doing factor trees. You take 21, break it down into 3 times 7. They're both prime, so your 3 times 7 is your prime factorization there. Take 30, break it down to 3 times 10. 3 is prime. So do 2 times 5 gives you 10. They're both prime, so prime factorization of 30 is 2 times 3 times 5. They have a 3 in common on each side. They do not have anything else in common, so your greatest common factor is 3. Okay, here, if you list them out, you have 1 times 21, 3 times 7. 30 is 1 times 30, 2 times 15, 3 times 10, 5 times 6. If you look at the list, they've got a 1 in common and a 3 in common, so the greatest common factor would be 3. Okay, go ahead and do either way you want to for number 2. Okay, so if you do the factor trees, you'll find out that 12 is prime factors are 2 times 2 times 3, 30 is 2 times 3 times 5, and 72 is 2 times 2 times 2 times 3 times 3. You notice that 2, there's only 1, 2, or 2 2's in this one, but only 1 in this one. There's 3 in this one, so I can only use 1, 2. I can notice there's a 1, 3 in each of them, but 2 in this one, so I can only use 1, 3. So I'm going to take 2 times 3, which is going to equal 6. So your greatest common factor you'll find is 6. Okay? All right. Should be about time to switch this time. If you have any extra time, you can do the problems on the back page. If not, then go ahead and switch when Mrs. Reed tells you to. Thanks.